conference will now be recorded.
Well, good evening and welcome to AnCan's virtual chat support group for low and intermediate risk prostate cancer for Monday, December 22nd, which I guess is our last meeting of 2025. So special welcome to our first time visitors. I am the moderator for this evening, Stuart Jordan, and I'll be assisted by Bill Franklin, and Rick Davis and Boykin Jordan if he makes it. At AnCan, we have multiple prostate cancer groups for our attendees. In addition to tonight's group for low and intermediate prostate cancer, we have groups that focus on active surveillance, which meets on Wednesday evenings, but not this week. High risk recurrent and advanced prostate cancer. Next one of those is tomorrow. They meet every week. We also have special groups for veterans and men under 60. And we have a new group for gay and bi men that is, I guess, monthly at this point. In tonight's group, we address those with low and intermediate risk prostate cancer and that are planning for or have had treatment. Please note, we do not address recurrence in this group. And if that's your focus and need for a conversation, we encourage you to join the high risk group, high risk recurrent and advanced group, which meets this week on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We also would like to note that this group is a peer-to-peer support group and should not be taken as medical advice. We're here to share our collective experience and answer your questions. We hope that we will provide valuable information that we encourage you to discuss with your doctors. And before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge our sponsors, Bayer, Novartis, Johnson & Johnson, Myriad Genetics, Helix, Blue Earth Diagnostics, and Foundation Medicine. And with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. For the new guys, the way we like to work is...
Can I, hold on a second, Stuart, I have my hand up.
Sure.
Also want to mention, we are starting a new group in January for anybody with an inherited mutation of any type. Just for an inherited mutation, a mutation that's been passed down to you by one of your parents. So it could be something like BRCA, it could be Lynch syndrome, it could even be sickle cell trait. But if you've inherited a mutation, this group is only going to be once a quarter to begin with. And we're going to be talking to, we hope, family, so previvors, survivors, care partners, and we already have a mailing list for this, but if you fit into that group, you can now sign up for a reminder for that group, and we'd encourage you to do so. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that we have this hands up feature, which I was using just there, and if you click on the hand, which is in the bottom left, we will see it and we will come to you, and that kind of helps us keep the meeting in order. And with that, back to you, Stuart.
Thank you, Rick. For the new folks, the way we like to work is you get first priority for chat. We have some general questions that we like to ask you to get us up to speed and familiar with your situation, and so that we can get a full picture, and then allow you time to ask any questions you have of us or of the group. And with that said, I believe Frank.
Yes.
Where are you, Frank? I'm sorry. I just wave at me. I can't see you. Oh, okay. Camera's not on. No problem. So, Frank, what's your last name?
My last name is Huang. That's Huang. Frank Huang.
Okay. And where do you live, Frank?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, great. And how old are you?
I'm 3 weeks away from being 70.
Okay. Early happy birthday.
Thank you.
And are are you a veteran?
No,
Okay. And how did you hear about AnCan?
a couple of weeks ago, I started to look for all the YouTubes and I found yours. So I binge watching all your recordings and then have some idea of how I need to present in this group.
Okay, we'll get to there. And are you signed up for our email reminders? If you're not,
Yes.
okay, for any of you guys who are not, if you throw your email address in the chat or send it to Bill or myself, we will get you on the list so that you will get reminders of when the meetings are in January. So, Frank, when were you first diagnosed and how did that come about?
It was the end of October. Out of 18 cores, I think UCLA urologist did a 12 random
Okay,
sample and a 6 targeted to
okay,
2 lesions. So altogether 18. The
okay,
3 positive.
okay. Frank, could we just back up a little bit and give us so we can get a little bit more info before we dive into your biopsy results? How did your diagnosis come about?
Through biopsy. It's a
No. Prior to that, what prompted?
oh.
Did
All
you
right.
have high PSA? Did you have what prompted the start of your journey?
Right. It started at the end of 23. Primary doctor did the blood test. My PSA was 5.3 at the time. So I started in the local urologist. I started with MRI and then biopsy.
Okay. Is that in 23 or is that just now?
Early, right. The PSA was done the end of 23.
Okay.
Early
Oh,
24, I started to do MRI and biopsy.
okay. When they did the MRI, did they see anything? Was there anything that was assigned a PIRAD score?
Yes, that's February 24. It's a 3T MRI, and they found 2 lesions, 1.2 centimeter and 1.5 centimeter. Location all close to the apex. One of them says a butt capsule. The other one says may a butt capsule. And one of them is 5 o'clock location. The other one is 7 o'clock location. So it's close to the apex.
Okay.
And then the pirates, all pirates 4, 2 of them.
Okay. Okay. And so with that as a test, did you then have a biopsy right after that?
Yes, soon after that, urologist said, let's do a biopsy. So we did. It's a transperineal fusion biopsy. And then he did 26 cores altogether, systematic and targeted. 3 cores for each lesion, so 6 are there. 20 random all together. So early 24, that was all benign.
All benign.
Right, 26 scores. Now,
Okay.
after that, I kind of doubt the accuracy. So I went ahead and to UCLA for second opinion. So I started to see urologic oncologist at UCLA facility. That doctor didn't trust that either. So within about 6 months, from the first biopsy. I did it all the same. PSA, MRI, biopsy with UCLA. So that's like September of 2024 now. PSA was about 4.5, so actually lowered. But the MRI showed exactly the same two lesions, similar location and close to the apex. Same, well, usually they downgrade a little bit. One of them is PIRAS 4, the other one is PIRAS 3. So that kind of confirms the two lesions in my mind, right? One of them is done locally. Now this one is UCLA.
Okay.
And then the biopsy is all, it's a targeted biopsy. Urologist did three cores from each lesion. So 6 altogether. They're all benign. So the doctor said, let's regroup in a year. So fast forward to September of this year, 2025 now. Did the same PSA, MRI, biopsy. PSA is now 5.4. So kind of my PSA is hovering between 5 and 4 for these 2 years. And then the MRI showed exactly the same, identical, 2 lesions close to the apex, 5 o'clock location, 7 o'clock location. Now they downgrade PIRAS, so PIRAS 4 and PIRAS 3 now with UCLA a little bit. Then subsequent biopsy show cancer. Now this time, the same urologist, Dr. Brisbane, UCLA, he did this time. He said, well, let's do a systematic and targeted biopsy. So he did altogether 18 cores. 12 of them is systematic. 6 of them are 3 cores each lesion. So this time he found cancer. So so the result is 2 3+3, 1 3+4. The one with 4 is 40% of the core, and a grade 4 is 10%. And the one that 3+4 is inside of that larger lesion. And then the other one, 3+3, is inside of the smaller lesion. But in the systematic core close to the smaller lesion, he also found the 3+3 outside the lesion. So that's the result.
Okay. Was there a second opinion on your biopsy slides?
Right, I knew I need to do that. So last Monday, I talked to Dr. Epstein and also UCLA pathology department and asking them to send the slides over. So it's been a week. Today, this morning, I again called Dr. Epstein. He said he has not received the slides yet. So I'm going to call UCLA tomorrow to find out what is going on. Where are the slides?
Sometimes you have to kick them to get them to move.
Yeah.
Sometimes, the request and they respond right away. Sometimes it just takes them a while to move. So I would encourage you to contact them directly.
Yeah. And Dr. Epstein actually called me from somewhere. He said he's on vacation this week. So he gave me the contact of his support staff. So I'm going to contact that staff tomorrow.
Okay.
Also.
So your biopsy was late October. Have you had follow-up conversation with Dr. Brisbane?
Right. I actually talked to my urologic oncologist. Okay. Yes. Right after the biopsy, I talked to Dr. Brisbane as well. I told him I'm going to do 3 more tests. Decipher test, and PSMA. He kind of, you know, wondering my low score biopsy will, would it be sufficient at this time to do PSMA or not? But when I talked to my oncologist, I told him the two other facts. I have lung cancer, so I'm kind of high risk in whatever the cancer arena. Number two, my father passed away from cancer. When my oncologist heard that, he said, all right, let's do a PSMA, just because of those facts. So, and then I also did a saliva test from Color Health.
Okay.
The result of that is they test 29 genes and all of them negative. So I don't have BRCA1, BRCA2, or anything else.
Do you have the results on your decipher yet?
Yes, unfortunately, the score is high. It's a 0.57. My PSMA show all clear, other than the confined in prostate. So I talked to my oncologist again after I get all the facts. He said he does not recommend active surveillance because of the high decipher score. He said I need to do something. That's why I'm here with this group.
Okay. You've mentioned Dr. Brisbane and you've mentioned oncologist. So you're talking to two different doctors?
Right.
Okay. Did Dr. Brisbane express an opinion?
Yeah, he mentioned SBRT. Yeah, he did. He also recommend treatment. I think both doctors think my decipher score being high, there's a high risk of recurrence, right? If I understand how decipher works.
It's predicting that it could be a slightly more aggressive cancer. And a 0.57 is about 2/3 up the grade, up the scale from between 0 and 1.
Yeah, so a 0.57 is actually still in the intermediate range. It's not in the high range, according to the Decipher's website.
Right. The high range starts from 0.6.
Yeah, from 0.6. You have 0.57. So
right.
You're on the edge, right? So what cancer did your father have?
It was lung cancer. So I think I have lung cancer gene with me.
Are you a smoker? Was your father a smoker?
When I was younger, for 7 years, I did smoke in my 20s. But now I'm almost 70. I stopped for almost 50 years now. Now my lung cancer is stage 1. So I had UCLA an operation that removed one of my lobes. After that, no more treatment is needed and no medication, nothing. I just need to do chest CT scan every 6 months, which I just did one recently, and it's all clear. So I'm in remission for lung cancer. But now I have to deal with prostate cancer.
Go ahead.
So 2 years of nothing, even though they found the lesions on the MRI, they could not find cancer until the third biopsy. So,
right. Some kind of
these other guys in these groups that say they had lesions and the lesions are tested and there was no cancer.
Twice, right?
Kind of indicates either a slow growing or
Frank, if I heard you right, Frank, if I heard you right, and I may have missed this, forgive me. Right now, you have two lesions that are cancerous. Is that right?
Yes.
And the Gleason score on those?
Right. And one of them, the smaller lesion, 3+3. The slightly larger lesion, 3+4.
And the other lesion is 3+4. And how much 4 is there in that other lesion?
40%.
4 is, well, that cancer is 40% of that core.
Okay,
The
so
grade
that's
4 is
hold
10%.
on. Just answer the questions because we got to move along pretty quickly here because we've got a lot of guys, and we've got to move this along. So your concern is, am I a good candidate for active surveillance with possibly 40% grade 4 in one lesion? What was the length of that lesion that they saw?
Rick, let me correct that. I may have misspoken. The core is 40% with cancer, but grade 4 is only
Yes.
10%.
Okay, so 10%, and how long was the lesion?
Hold on. I think it's like
I mean, we just really need to focus on the facts, and I understand some of the frills are concerning to you, but we've got to focus really and drill down on the facts here. So we're looking at 10% for 1.3 centimeters was the amount of cancer, or was the whole length of the lesion?
the whole length of the lesion. And
Okay,
the
so-
pathology report says it's 4
Okay,
millimeter out of that.
Frank, stay with me, okay?
Okay.
Because I know you want to talk about it, but we'd love to talk about it. We just don't have the time. You got to respect us for that because of all the people. So we've got 1.3 centimeters. 40% is cancerous, so that's about 4 millimeters. And of that 4 millimeters, 10% is 4. So when we get down to it, we've got a tiny, tiny little bit of 4. Tiny.
Mhm.
Now, the question now is, because you have lung cancer, because your father had lung cancer, and because you have lung cancer, which is very, very treatable, does that make you a greater candidate for treatment? Your decipher score is intermediate. It's not high. It might be high very soon, but right now the decipher score is intermediate. We would say, let's see what Dr. Epstein says. Let's see if Dr. Epstein confirms that that tiny speck of 4 is, in fact, 4 and not a 3. And from there, it's really up to you whether you want to get treated. But most men in that situation would be considered a good candidate for active surveillance. It bothers me that you've got a urologic oncologist. Who's the oncologist outside of UCLA that you're seeing?
Well, that's more than a year, and he already left,
Okay.
and he's in Beverly Hills now.
Okay, so what? I mean, I don't care where he is. If he's in Beverly Hills, makes no difference to me. He could be in Timbuktu. What is he? Was he at a center of excellence or not?
No, the first
No.
one is
So,
not.
I don't put a huge amount of weight in him saying you're at a higher risk. You've got to get treated. He may have other interests at hand. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but I think you've got to focus down on Dr. Brisbane, who is pro active surveillance. You've got to see what he comes up with, where he thinks you should be, and go from there. And right now, if I were in your shoes, I'd be feeling pretty good because you don't have a serious prostate cancer diagnosis.
And the fact that it took 3 years to show up after they detected lesions.
Right, exactly.
Also indicates that it's probably very slow growing.
Mhm.
But again, talk to your doctor, talk to Dr. Brisbane. I think he might agree.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing
And-
is, sorry, the other
That's
thing
good.
is when you talk to Dr. Epstein and get his take on your slides is also make sure you ask, does he see any extenuating circumstances on the slides other than the amount of cancer, which might also
Right.
be if there's no cribriform, if there's none of the other things, then that would be another plus towards the fact that you could be just fine on surveillance and not have to deal with treatment.
Mhm.
Frank, did you have any other specific questions that you came to us this evening that you wanted to ask?
I mean, one last question would be, how long can a person wait before treatment should commence? And what would the triggering point to do that?
What would be a triggering point would be a dramatic change in the situation. If there was a substantial increase in PSA, if the MRI started to show more activity compared to the other one, if there was a concern that it was potentially spreading outside the prostate, none of which you've told us, anything that you've told us indicates that. So in a case where there's no danger signs, there is absolutely no rush to treatment. You're not taking any risk. There have been numerous studies about this in terms of how long people can go before even choosing to act, and it makes no difference on your long-term risk as far as the cancer is concerned.
Okay.
So, I would slow down. I'd talk to Dr. Brisbane, talk to Dr. Epstein, get that information, come back, to us in a couple of weeks after you've had that. And then, we can talk more about a decision. And if in fact it sounds like it's surveillance, I know you tried to get into surveillance and you were having a session, you should go back and talk to those guys because they'll talk to you about how long you can go without having to worry about treatment.
Okay.
Okay?
And
All
Rick,
right. Thank you.
Rick had his hand up. Rick?
Yeah, the last thing I just want to say to you, Frank, is you can go the rest of your life without treatment. And there are many men who do. And if you go back to the active surveillance group, you'll hear them. They've been on active surveillance for 20 years or more. The constraining factor very often is the patient. The patient doesn't deal with that well and decides to take treatment. We have to respect that, but they may not need it. So, roughly 30, it depends on whose numbers they are, but somewhere between 30 and 40% of men opt for treatment. Somewhere between 30 and 40% of men remain on treatment, and somewhere between 30 and 40% of men progress and need treatment.
Okay. All right. I appreciate your help. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, come back and tell us what happens next.
Okay.
Okay, Jerry. Hi, how are you? You're muted.
Hi there. Okay, I'm back on. Thank you, guys. So yeah, this is Jerry Barclay, and I live in Maui.
Oh,
another Maui person. Well, we have a bunch. I've just been communicating with one today. We forgot all about. He hasn't talked to us for years. But yet we understand Maui well, and we understand the ramifications for treatment on Maui quite well.
Right. Right.
so Jerry, how old are you?
72.
72. Okay. Are you a veteran?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And how did you hear about us?
I play tennis with a group of retired men, and one of the guys is in the more advanced group, and he gave me your number.
Great. Love to hear word of mouth. And are you signed up for our emails?
I just put my name in
Okay.
the chat.
Okay, we will take care of that for you.
Thank you.
So tell us about the start of your journey. When were you diagnosed, and how did it come about?
So I'm much more early than other folks, I guess. About 4 years ago, my PSA was tested for the first time, and it was 5.2. And I saw the urologist here and was put on active surveillance and had PSA checked basically every 6 months. And it tends to go up about 0.5 every 6 months. So now I'm at 7.2. I don't know if my numbers are quite working out, but it's 7.2 right now. They did a test for DNA test on prostatic fluid, and it was useless. It showed 50-50 chance of it being an aggressive cancer, so that wasn't very helpful. I've had 2 MRIs. The first MRI showed an enlarged prostate, but didn't show any lesions. And then 1 year later, as the PSA went up to 7.2 from about 6.5, the second one did show a lesion, but the lesion has apparently not gone anywhere. And I don't have the language as well as Frank did for sure, but the lesion seems to have not, the doc said it has not gone into any lymph nodes as far as they could see on the MRI. So that's
Okay.
kind of what I know. I have not had a biopsy yet, but as you guys might know, the doc here in Maui only does them through ultrasound, and I don't want that. Oahu does MRI overlay, but 2 of their top urologists just retired, and it's the urology is a total mess in Oahu. It's almost impossible to get an appointment, and so I've actually got myself referred to the Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, and they have a referral through the investigational radiology department to get biopsy done in bore in the MRI machine. And I just contacted them today, and apparently my referral from the urologist here has gone through, and they're still waiting for the pictures to come through from the hospital MRI machine. So that's sort of where I'm at. I'm probably going to get a biopsy, if everything goes well, the beginning of February.
Is there a reason that you go on for in-bore biopsy?
Well, the only reason I would do that is because from my reading, it seems to be a better approach, less chance of having sexual dysfunction after the biopsy. So that sounds attractive to me. But also, because I can't get a regular overlay biopsy in Oahu, because it's just almost impossible now. It may as well go. So that's part of it. I just figured may as well go where it's better. And the other thing is, I was considering if it is a focal lesion and it needs treatment, I may as well go to Oregon Health and Science University, where they do nanoknife and all sorts of advanced stuff, if that's what it comes to.
Yeah, you're getting 5 steps ahead of yourself.
I know.
But
Yeah. And not only 5 steps. What I'm interested to know why OSHU rather than say UCSF, UCLA, or UCSD. Because once you get in that plane, it's the same. it doesn't matter unless you've got
Right.
family there and you want to do other
No,
things.
and I
or
don't.
what have you.
The two reasons are I checked in California. I have Humana Advantage, and UCSD does not does not take Humana Advantage. It looks like a lot of California centers of excellence are no longer accepting Humana. And in contacting Oregon Health, they do accept Humana. So that's a big thing. And
Okay.
I was also very
problem
attracted that
is-
they are one of the, I'm sorry?
The problem is that of the 4 hospitals right now, as we stand, they're the worst group of the 4.
Oh, really?
Soup to nuts. The reason for that is they haven't focused on their genitourinary service in years. The person who was running that whole group, Thomas Beer, was outstanding. He stepped down to go into industry. He still has a presence there. And since he stepped down, things have been falling apart at OSHU. Now, that's all going to change over the next 12 months because they've hired one of the very best genitourinary medical oncologists in the country, who we know exceptionally well. She sits on our board. They've been courting her for 2 or 3 years. They've also gotten a huge amount of money from the Knights, and things will change, but they haven't changed yet, and it's difficult to accomplish certain things at OSHU. And if you needed treatment right now, as it stands, I'm not sure it would be my preferred place. Now, if you cannot get in to any of the Californian centers of excellence, and you cannot get into to Hutch, then yes, by all means go to OSHU. But in our view, and I think Dr. Eleni would agree with us, she's the new chief coming in, they're not ready for prime time.
And Hutch is Washington?
Yeah. Seattle.
And they'd be
Seattle.
better, you think? They'd be good?
Right now, yes. You'd be better off at Hutch. They've got, I mean, even for the docs we know there, I mean, we've got, for example, a really good interventional radiation radiologist that we've worked with for a long time. We'd probably start you off with him because he is so good. But the doctors are there, the medical oncologists are there, the radiation oncologists are there, the surgeons are there, and the medical oncologists are there too. And so that's why, again, not sure if you need to rush into this where you are right now. And we'd say to you also, please come in to the active surveillance group. There isn't one this Wednesday because it's Christmas Eve, but there will be one the following week. And please come in and speak with us in the active surveillance group.
Right.
Because we don't know what you've got yet. We just don't have enough information.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately,
I
have 5 friends, neighbors, friends, 5 men who are dealing with, hormone treatment, and it's pretty dreadful. So I just don't want to go there.
Okay, but why even go there? We don't know. You could be a candidate for active surveillance. A bunch of us, the moderators, I did 28 months on hormone treatment. Hormone treatment, I've got another guy who I mentioned to you before. I think he's on the Big Island. He's been on hormone treatment for 3 years. He hasn't had serious problems. He shouldn't have been on hormone treatment for 3 years. If it were me, I wouldn't have stayed on hormone treatment for 3 years, but he has been. So yeah, we can also, so yes, you hear what you want to hear. You don't want to be on hormone treatment. You may have to be if that's the option. And if you are, the likelihood is it's not going to be for very long.
Mm-hmm. Good to hear.
Dr. Gill, I know you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in here as a former medical director for Medicare plans for Blue Shield of California. If the UCs are not in his network, there's no way that he's going to get there unless he changes his plan to one that's in network. So.
But here's the question. If one UC is not in his plan, do you think that means none of the UCs will be in his plan?
I thought he said that he checked all of them and then none of them.
No,
No, I
no,
didn't.
he assumed.
I made an
assumed.
assumption actually. Yeah, UCSD was definitely not in plan.
Oh no, no.
Before they gave up.
Each institution makes a separate decision. So,
Thanks, Gil.
and it's
Thank you,
and
Gil.
and it changes. You know, but I will say this: UCSD, from my experience, has dropped. UCSD has dropped more plans than UCSF and UCLA. For some reason, they've decided that it's not financially in their interest. So I would, the one that's most likely not to have other plans is UCSD.
So of the UCSF and UCLA, which would you recommend?
Well, I'm at I'm being treated at UCLA, so I'm a little partial to that. UC, let's see. I don't know. I don't have experience with UCSF, but it's interesting because the way that each institution is structured and the ease with which one can get referrals is different. For members that I've taken care of at UCSF, generally they've gotten good care there. And I haven't had that. I would see any problems. In other words, if they couldn't get care through Medicare, then they would appeal. And I did not, between UCLA and UCSF, I didn't see any problems with people getting care. So I assume they're equivalent. So I would go based on other things.
Yeah. So let me, I'll take a shot at that one. I absolutely agree with Gil, with Dr. Gil. I think they're probably even up. They both have great practitioners, and if you're looking for somebody fantastic in radiology, you can go to both. If you're looking for great surgeons, you can go to one or the other. I was treated at UCSF. I think UCLA has come on a packet in the last 3 to 5 years in terms of who they've hired and who they have there. So I would say I'd absolutely agree with Gil that it's 6 of one and a half dozen the other, and what's most convenient for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Jerry, I was going to say, as Rick alluded to, you're very early days, right? The fact that you've got guys around you that are on androgen deprivation therapy is not a good thing for you to listen to those guys. That's why we wouldn't say go to the advanced group to listen to what they're saying, because you'd hear all the horror stories, right?
Yeah,
inactive surveillance.
My
this group,
my wife's first husband died of it, so it's just all very bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, we definitely understand the diagnosis of cancer and the anxiety that it induces. Everybody in this room has been through it. We're all peers.
Right.
Like Rick said, I was on androgen deprivation therapy for 24 months, fully recovered from it. Thankfully, I've had no incident, no detectable cancer for about 8 years now. So
yeah,
I'm
he
good.
had hair. He had hair before he started.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Actually, I was this bald when I started. So
Yeah, well, I don't worry about losing my hair.
don't stress over like the future, because you've not even had a biopsy. You know, you can't get a definitive diagnosis of cancer without a biopsy, right?
So as it is, I mean, I'm on track to get a biopsy at at OHSU. Do you think I shouldn't even do that? Because, I mean, otherwise I have to go through the whole, get a referral from, it's not that easy.
Well, first of all, you don't have to go through the whole referral. Most of these hospitals you can self-refer.
No, well, he can't. He does.
Oh, because he's on Advantage.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
would have to find out from UCSF and UCLA if they take Humana Advantage first, and then you know, shifting to either of them is not difficult because your medical group. I assume you have a primary care physician, right?
Right.
Okay, so basically, all they need to do is change what the main step is getting a referral for a biopsy to begin with. Once that you've gone through utilization review and they've decided, yes, it's indicated, where it happens is just a matter of changing the institution on the form and putting it in the system. So you could change to UCSF or UCLA in a moment by just making a phone call and say, hey, cross out OSHU off the form and put UCLA physician, and they'll do it. That they don't care about.
Right. So let me jump in. I feel we need to give OSHU a voice in its defense. And since David has his hand up, you should hear.
I was going to call on David anyway, but he raised his hand because he got tired of waiting.
I know. But I'm not sure if you knew that David is an OSHU patient or has been. So David, please defend OSHU. And feel free to criticize me, please.
You're muted right now, David.
You're muted, which may be just as well.
Yeah, it's just as well, because it's not going to be a very strong defense. Jerry, I live in Portland. I was treated out of state. I think that says enough right there. But I really wouldn't. I mean, if you're all set up to do the biopsy at OHSU, I don't think there's a problem with that, especially if it's an in-bore biopsy. I mean, that's like the Cadillac of biopsies. But as far as getting treated at OHSU, I checked into that for my own purposes because I really didn't want to have to travel out of town, and I wasn't impressed. They, at least when I checked into them a year ago, they didn't have an MR-Linac. They didn't do brachytherapy. No, it just didn't. I just didn't get a good feel for that place at all. Now, I do have a medical oncologist there that I do like, but that's the only doctor that I currently see there. I wanted to mention to you one other consideration is, since you're in Hawaii and you're looking at hospitals on the West Coast, you want to kind of keep in mind some places will let you do telehealth visits with their doctors, and some places absolutely will not. Fred Hutch will not. I don't believe OHSU will either. I was able to do a telehealth visit with Albert Chang at UCLA. UCSF would not let me. So
great point.
There's that.
Great point. Especially if you're if you're there, it's something you definitely need to ask for. Yes, Dr. Gill.
Okay, so Medicare was allowing telehealth visits because of the COVID, and I think that expires in January of this year.
Yeah.
So,
there are some exceptions if you're highly rural, and you'd have to check with your Advantage plan and see if Maui is considered to be an exception. But I don't know. I don't want to say one way or the other, but Dr. Gill's absolutely right. I would just, you should all know, and for the sake of the recording, AnCan was one of the few, if not the only, prostate cancer group that stood up and said, we need to do a lot more to get this telehealth extended. Another very well-known group paid no attention until it was too late. And by the time they got to their act together, it was too late. And so we didn't get those extensions, which is not patient-centric.
Just one question before you move on. If I do get a biopsy done, let's say I do get the biopsy done at Oregon, I was thinking that the results could be interpreted by the local urologist that I'm seeing here on Maui, and that would be okay. You know, next steps, I'll worry about next steps, but just for that.
Well, no, I mean, it's more important that you have a real expert eye interpreting those results. This is why we're sending everybody right now, even from these best hospitals, to Dr. Epstein and Dr. Zhao. So you may well, and you know, even if you get a first from them, and in terms of reading the MRIs, the best probably on the West Coast is Dr. Westphal at Hutch in Oregon, but no, I would not be relying on your local guy for the interpretations. Fine as a backup, but he wouldn't be my first choice.
Okay, I just thought that they would be getting a report from the radiologist at Oregon Health, and that they would basically just read me the report. I guess it's more than that.
Yes.
Well, yeah, the biopsies, I mean, a radiologist is not going to read your biopsy. It's going to be a pathologist, and a pathologist.
Right.
That's why at the top of the chat window, we always post the names of Dr. Zhao and Dr. Epstein and how to contact them.
They're pathologists. So you could send your reports off to them and ask them to read them.
They are prostate cancer pathologists, to be more specific, and they are two of the preeminent gentlemen in the United States. Dr. Zhao is Dr. Epstein's
it's not the report.
Student, so.
It's not the report you want to send them, it's the actual slides that you want to send them.
If you go through their organizations, they'll help your doctor get the slides to them, and then they'll read them and give you the second opinion.
Okay. Well, you know, as you said, one thing at a time, but I'll definitely have that in mind.
And I just, before we move on to our next gentleman, I'll just say one thing. You said something during your talk about the what's it called, inbore having a lower risk of sexual dysfunction. I've never heard anybody concerned about sexual dysfunction from the prostate cancer biopsy.
Biopsy, yeah.
A prostatectomy or radiation treatment, yes, but not the biopsy. It's not something you have to worry about.
That's good, thank you.
Jerry, just one last thing before we move on. Did any of your doctors in Maui mention any of the blood tests or urine tests that can be done? There are a couple that are found to be relatively good at prediction as to whether or not there is cancer present, which could be something that you could do in the interim while you're trying to sort everything else out.
They did one test. They did one test actually twice, and it came out that I had a 51% chance of it being cancer, and 51% may as well flip a coin.
Yeah. Anyway, so obviously figuring out
the PSA had a 1.8 free PSA, whatever that means.
Okay. You know, obviously you have to sort out the insurance element of all this, but you know, when you get closer to the biopsy, or if the results come back and tell us what it says, and we can sort of pick up the conversation in terms of helping you figure out what your next steps are.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate all that.
Great. Gil.
I'll yield to the next person. I'm pretty much, I don't need any help. I pretty much know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have MRI-guided radiation in a week. And I was just more going to talk about some of the nutritional approaches with some interesting research I was looking into as far as fasting prior to the radiation, and also a ketogenic diet and some other things which I've been looking into. And so I don't know if anyone has experience with any of those things.
We'd love to hear all of that. I'll leave it with Gil and Stuart, with Bill and Stuart, to decide when to bring you in. Try and make some time for that. But I want to know: are you seeing Kishan?
No, Kishan. So Valle, I went to the last two state-of-the-art UCLA conferences, and Dr. Valle, who's the younger radiation oncologist, actually presented on the MRI-guided and showed all the slides and everything. Kishan, I wouldn't have gotten an appointment until the end of December, and Valle had one the week after.
Okay. Well, listen, please keep us abreast, because we have not been sending to Valle because Kishan is the guru, and we know Kishan, and Kishan knows AnCan, and we send a lot of folks to Kishan, not just for primary treatment, but also for salvage as well. And so
Valle presented and was very concise. He's been very personable. He's been very responsive to messages at UCLA. And he was very patient with all of my questions about everything, very evidence-based. So I've been, and I heard Kishan present at the PCRI recording, this last one. So anyway, I've been.
Listen, a recommendation coming from you is exceptionally worthwhile to us, and it's great. And we can turn around and say to people, well, we've had some AnCaners who have had a great experience with Valle too, if you can't get an immediate appointment with Kishan. This is how we learn.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Bill?
Yes,
Gil,
that is correct.
Yeah, so there's a City of Hope, Dr. Lee is doing some studies on fasting prior to radiation, like a 6 to 8 hour fast before and 6 hours after. Oh, so do you know, I'm trying to get the protocol. Do we know how many hours before and after?
Stuart, do you know about this? I got a feeling you might know something about this one.
Gil, I had MRI Linac at MSK in New York, and that was not part of the recommended protocol from Dr.
Well, no, I don't think it's part of any recommended. I think it's something that they're just starting to study. So she actually did. She's enrolling in a study. However, I'm not eligible because my BMI is 21, and they're concerned about weight loss, and so it had to be a BMI. But I'm waiting. They're hopefully going to set up a telehealth consultation with her, hopefully in the next week before my radiation starts, so I can decide what to do. But I will I will do some fasting. I just don't know exactly what protocol it is.
And the expectation of the benefit from fasting is?
Okay, so there's a, are you familiar with Valtar Longo, who has been at USC for, okay. So he actually wrote a book, Cancer Fasting, or Fasting Cancer, that's the title. And basically what happens is that the normal cells with diminished nutrition go into hibernation. Cancer cells, by definition, have their uncontrolled growth. So when they get deprived of glucose, they keep going. And so it creates a differential where when they give the radiation, the normal cells have shut down, so they're not replicating their DNA as quickly. And so when you zap them, it diminishes the potential side effects of bladder and bowel because they're not actively dividing. And the cancer cells, which can't shut off, are differentially impacted. So when they don't have that much experience with radiation, but when they've done it with chemo, it turns out that there's much less nausea and there's much less side effects. So that's kind of theory.
More than you might need to know, but we had a board member that we loved, who was a yeast geneticist at Roswell Park. He passed away in 2019. We supported him for a long time here. He was BRCA2 positive. One of the neat things was he was probably the first man in this country to use a PARP inhibitor because he was doing research with Joanne de Bono, and he had a bunch of PARP in his lab, and he went to his tumor board and said, "Can I use this? I'm BRCA2." And it gave him about 2 years.
Okay.
And his name was Bill Burhans. You'll find him on our. He did a lot of work with Longo. A lot of work with Longo. A lot of the research that went into that book. And Longo stuck it to him and took the research and never gave him credit.
Oh.
So we know about Longo going back to Professor Bill, God rest his soul. Stuart, I will send you, or I'll post a couple of links about fasting, including one that was, I think I've got the one that was in the Economist, but Walter Longo's been publishing on fasting almost as long as I've been around this space.
Yeah. No, I actually met him. I went down to one of his talks, and so anyway. But the studies in the book are interesting that he cites. So, but anyway, so that's also ketosis, which I just went on a low carb diet. So anyway, but as I said, let me defer to the next person. I'll let you know what came back. And I started on Orgovix 2 weeks ago, ADT. I'm not having any side effects at this point.
6 months?
Well, Valle wants to go 6 months, but I have cribiform pattern, so I want to do 12 months.
Okay.
Based on that study.
Did you see Kishan's new meta study? I'll put it in the chat window. He just published it, like in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And we highlighted it in our reminder. When I'm done with putting in the fasting links, I'll put in Kishan's new meta study link too. I think it was in, I can't remember if it was in JCO or the American or JAMA, but I'll put it in.
Okay. Yeah. So so Valle was open to continuing. I'll see what my PSA response is and all that kind of stuff.
Gil, last comment on your upcoming MRI Linac. We have a lot of guys here in this group who have had it. And so after you've been through it, if there are anything, questions or want to commiserate with others who have been down that path, come back. We can share.
Yeah. So the only interesting thing I'm going to comment is I was on Cobra, and I had met my out of pocket for 2025, but I switched to Medicare on December 1st because Blue Shield Cobra would not cover rectal spacer, and Medicare does. So I ended up, all of these nuances of insurance and Medicare, it's crazy.
Great.
It's crazy.
Good luck on the treatment.
Okay.
Okay. Steve in Malaysia.
Hey guys. Just want to thank Stuart for all your help as of late. So a quick update on me. So I think last time I talked, I hadn't had the PET scan, so that ended up being clear, but I ended up having multifocal. I was sort of thinking about focal, but that kind of came off the list after that. So also I had I'll say double confirm from Epstein about my features, which apparently are quite adverse. I've got cribiform and also this borderline AIE and IBC. So that, along with a consult with Dr. Klotz, which is the active surveillance guy, both recommended treatment. They basically said active surveillance was a bad idea. Klotz was saying probably 6 months of ADT, with, assuming radiation. He was supportive of, all three modalities. It was surgery, radiation, or full gland TULSA. So I'm kind of looking through the options. I think I'm getting more concerned about the durability kind of stuff, and also because my teachers sharing more about sort of curative stuff. So I'm kind of leaning more toward radiation, particularly the Linac stuff. I ordered a Prostox test, which you can do remotely from their website yesterday. So I'm hoping to get that done quickly. I've got a consult with the guys at Stanford on the 16th of December, or excuse me, of January. And trying to sort out getting my slides from Epstein over to those guys. So as far as next steps go, I'm, since I'm kind of leaning more toward radiation, I'm interested in possibly setting up, or hopefully being able to see Keyshawn. So maybe when I'm in California, but I think he does teleconsults. It's strictly speaking not required. But any ideas on how to kind of open that door?
I don't know, Gil, maybe you know from having gone the process, every hospital has a specific process for how to get initial consult. And
so at UCLA, to get to see Keyshawn, you could just call and they'll ask you who referred you. I just said I got an appointment with Keyshawn actually, and I just said I self-referred. I didn't even have to give somebody's name. And the UCLA has a central scheduling for almost everything else, but UCLA Urology has scheduling just for their docs. And so when you call and you just say, I heard his name, I self-referred, they'll give you an appointment.
Okay.
As long as you don't have Medicare Advantage and need a referral. Do you have straight Medicare or?
No, I actually live in Penang, and I'm not 65 yet, so I've got insurance, but unfortunately it doesn't cover the US, so I'll be self-paying.
Oh, UCLA charges are exorbitant. In other words, an initial consult is probably going to be $1,000. Now, insurance ends up knocking that down to so you would need to call and just say you're self-pay and try and make some arrangements in advance, because what they ultimately accept from like $1,000 charge is like 400 or something like that. But if you do not make arrangements in advance, they're going to sock you with the entire thing. And then everything they do, as far as you'll end up see what you can negotiate in advance.
Yep. And if you're going to self-pay, Steve, if you're going to self-pay, I would not tell them that you're outside the country.
Okay.
Because otherwise they're going to force you through their foreign patients, international patients, and that's a whole nother thing, and it's complicated and difficult. They have a whole different process. So if you can do it, just say that you're a self-pay, but you're within the United States.
Yeah, and it's a unique thing, and at UCLA and at these large centers, basically the person answering the phone, although the urology department's a little different, the person answering the phone, it goes by what's on their computer screen, and they'll make you run through hoops, and basically what's on their computer screen is get the person's insurance, get the insurance number, and if you say you're self-pay, a lot of times most of the time it's okay, but if the person that you're talking to has a problem with it, ask to speak to somebody else.
Okay. Well, a couple sort of notes on that. I mean, I've got oncologist here and a urologist, and I need to be able to coordinate the care between the two ends. So I'm not really big on not telling them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And the money I don't want to brag, but money is not necessarily a problem for me, to be honest.
Okay.
Even without the insurance. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with the cost. I got a quote of $37,000 from Stanford. Funny enough, the self-pay was $37,000. The Medicare or insurance was $92,000.
Oh no, that's what they would charge you, but that's not what Medicare ultimately would pay them.
Yeah, that I don't know, but
yeah, no. That's what they.
So I would assume that was for Tulsa Pro when I was still kind of focused on it, but I don't know what radiation would cost at at UCLA. Does anybody have any idea?
You're saying out of pocket radiation? Yeah. No, but we could find out. Okay. And you could call them and ask them what the cash price is.
UCLA has on their portal, and I don't know if you have to actually be a patient, but it has estimated costs for certain procedures, and I don't know if that would be included, but let's see. Yeah. But they would tell you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they were pretty good at Stanford of giving me all that kind of information, because I did tell them I was offshore. They were kind of a pain because they would not do teleconsults, so that's why one of the reasons I'm going there in January.
Yeah. Mr. Boyd, I see you have switched on your camera. Say hello. Say hello to Steve in Malaysia.
Hey Steve, it's Gregory. How are you?
Hey.
I'm listening to your journey and look forward to meeting you when you're here. You're seeing Dr. Sun, right, for your biopsy?
Well, I'm seeing basically for a console and all the sort of things they offer there.
Okay, good. Well,
good luck on your upcoming.
Okay, I will be starting down that road on the 8th. I have my pre-MRI LINAC test drive, I guess it is. And then my treatment starts, if all goes well, on the 22nd of January. So I'll lead the charge, and I'll let you. I'll tell you about the pieces that fall apart.
Okay. And switch email addresses with Dr. Gill, because he's starting the MRI LINAC sooner than you are, and maybe he'll have some tips for you. Use the chat window to exchange email addresses.
Yeah, I'll put my email in there. And
Thank
also for any help with Medicare Advantage or Medicare appeals or any of that, you can contact me.
And are you, I'm sorry to bring it up, but the fasting thing, are you tending to go in that direction? Are you thinking that's worthwhile before treatment?
Yeah, I'm going to at least do. I think the protocol that they're doing at City of Hope is 8 hours before and 6 hours after. So that on my first treatment's at 2 p.m. So that would be early breakfast at 6, nothing to eat until like 7 or 8 in the evening.
Got it. Got it. Now they're going to make you drink a lot of water, correct? Right before you go under.
No, actually, what they told me was that they want you to have a partially full bladder because that cuts down on the potential radiation, and they want it to be consistent with the MRI that they did beforehand, because that way the computation is exactly the same as what the amount of urine that you had in the bladder. And so, so basically, I had a slightly full bladder, so I could sort of feel it, that I might have to urinate a little, but not uncomfortably full. So I will duplicate that. And I actually went, because I'd been in an MRI for 45 minutes once, and I drank too much fluid, and the last 10 minutes was agony. So before the MRI planning, I asked if I could just go and let out a little urine, and I let out a little bit, but not too much. And they said that it was a full enough bladder for the study. So yeah, so it has to be sort of intermediate, and it has
So
to be the same as it was when they did the initial imaging, more or less.
So the same liquid you're saying. So it's either water or food and water.
Yeah.
Wow. They don't tell you that in the rule books. I mean,
yeah. No. Well, when I did the planning, that's what the tech basically said. And the way that the LINAC works is that they're taking 6 MRI views a second, and if the prostate moves more than 3 millimeters, then it stops the radiation, and then until you move back into the but what Valle said on the talk is that the actual radiation is only 5 minutes, although you're in the machine for about 30 to 45. But the actual beam is only for 5 minutes.
I see. Wow. And it seems that the other question is with your, what was I going to say? The being full, like if you were trying to hold, if you were saying you're in agony but if you're trying to hold yourself from not urinating, I would imagine that would make your prostate move around, or that area move around.
Okay, so the agony was from an MRI that was not the prostate related. It was like years ago.
Right.
And
No,
oh yeah, no, if you're well, you sort of have to figure you're going to be in the machine for 30 to 45 minutes, so you sort of have to have a sense of how full the bladder is before you go in, and is it going to end up being uncomfortable.
Right. Okay. Well, that's all good information. Thank you, sir. I'll get your email, and I'll connect with you as well.
Steve. Okay. Steve, was there anything else you had questions on?
Yeah, it sounds like based on what I've discovered so far, including Watt said that I'm probably going to end up having to take ADT for probably 6 months or so. I was just wondering what people's experience was with that, and any thoughts on side effects.
I'm going to mention one other thing, which is Dr. Kishan and Valle are doing a study with apalutamide, which is a androgen receptor blocker. And if you have intermediate, favorable or unfavorable intermediate, then you would qualify for the study. and that may have basically, that's not blocking testosterone, it just blocks the receptor. So that might have less side effects.
Right.
So that's at UCLA.
Yeah.
What was the name of
Just so we're sort of getting into the weeds here, Steve.
Yeah.
And even Gil may not know this, but we would have to do some very specific testing of your cancer cells to make sure that you're a candidate, because only certain types of cancer cells are a candidate for the apalutamide and not other cancer cells. There was a paper just published by Dan Spratt at in Cleveland on that. Now, let me just put your mind, I don't want to say put your mind to rest. 6 months ADT is exceptionally manageable, especially if you are a heavy exerciser and you can continue to exercise heavily, which is one reason why you may want to, well, if you're getting ADT, you'll be doing radiation, so you'll be able to do the exercise. 6 months should not affect you, by and large. Some guys it does, some guys it doesn't. We've had guys who have fallen to pieces after 2 or 3 months mentally because of the ADT drugs. But for most people, it doesn't really affect you. We can get into that in much greater detail once we know where you are. But from the standpoint, I'm going to echo what Len told you and what all those little guys right behind you are screaming at you. Stay in the moment, all right? Stay in the moment. Don't go down the rabbit holes and the ADT this, the ADT can be very manageable, as we've heard both Bill and me tell you. And we work with ADT all the time in the bigger group.
Yeah, my dad was on it for a number of years, actually. He had radiation and ADT. So I've seen it.
The question is, how did he handle it? Did he exercise every day? What was he eating?
I wouldn't say he exercised all that much, but I think he had hot flashes. You know, I've heard from other people.
Okay, well, we can help you with hot flashes. We've got solutions to a lot of stuff here. Let me just say that if you're on for 6 months only, you're probably not going to even feel it. Most guys don't even feel it for the first 3 months.
Yeah, I mean,
don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of the ADT if it's only going to be 6 months. That's my advice. Like Rick said, we were both on it long term. I exercised heavily. At one point, my testosterone level was 13, and I was still working out. I was going to karate regularly, and walking a ton and weightlifting. So, I mean, I wasn't breaking any records. I wasn't like the buff guy in the gym, but I did fairly well. I mean, for 24 months. It's at 6 months, if you exercise, you probably, I'm not a doctor, right? But you probably won't feel anything.
How about ED stuff?
Well, I can't talk to that because I had the prostatectomy and everything, so mine was compounded. But yeah, stay in the moment. Think about that after treatment. We can talk about it, or we can talk offline. We do have other people that still need some time, and we're getting into the last 20 minutes or so. So.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sandra,
Steve, we'll see you soon. We'll see you here.
Sandra, you had your hand up.
We were just going to share how easy it was to make a Dr. Keyshawn appointment, and Mir did it a few weeks ago, and we have one in January, virtual. So I was just going to share that, but Gil covered it quite well, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was
right.
very.
They said they were self-referred also, Steve. So as Gil had said, so. All right, you guys asked for time also, Sandra, if you guys want to go ahead and go, since we just called on you.
Go ahead.
Well, in the last couple of weeks, something new has that came up, and that is my heart situation. We went to see my cardiologist to find out what his opinion is about the route we take. And he started asking questions. I have had some issues within the last year with my heart. And he says, let's do a stress test. And we did a stress test. It wasn't that great. Then he wanted to do an angiogram. And I have 3 new blockages in my artery. They did not put the stents in, and they are doing a triple bypass surgery, open heart surgery tomorrow. So meanwhile, still have the appointment with Dr. Keishan virtually on the January 20th, and with MD Anderson in person also January 20th. And we're hoping, we have purchased the tickets to go, but we'll see how I am doing by then. So that is the new update that has taken a different turn and has put basically the prostate situation on hold. Now we're dealing with a heart situation.
Did you get to speak with Dr. John?
Yes. Actually, we had a very good conversation. He was very informative about lots of things, as David has been as well. Tremendous support. Yeah, it was a very good meeting.
We basically suggested waiting to see if anybody wants to put Amir on ADT, and then maybe pulling in a cardiac oncologist or whatever the right term is. Getting one then. He said he was familiar with one, I forget if it was LA or Southern California. I think he mentioned, he didn't give us a name, but he mentioned he could, suggest a few to contact if it seemed like that would be helpful. I did also message the nurse navigator person, whatever, at MD Anderson, because I'm sure they must have cardio oncologists, and it's been a couple of weeks and they haven't gotten back to us with the needs. Like, could we go ahead and meet with one of those at the same time we're there on the 20th? We just haven't gotten a response from the Dr. Franks.
You've got to chase them up. That is not good.
What's up?
I say you've got to chase them up. Did you do it through the portal?
Yeah, and no, email. I'm directly emailing with her, and I did follow up once, and I'm
going to
put it in the portal.
Put it in the portal. They have to respond within 48 hours, something like that. I don't know, did Gil leave us? But Gil will correct me, but they have to respond. If you email, they don't look at it, but if you do it through the portal, they'll respond right back to you. And you should be on the portal. Now, some places you're not on the portal until after you finish the first treatment. And in which case, just call them and keep bugging them.
Portal messaging people, haven't you? I think we can. OHSU, you're right. They won't let us. They won't let us. But I think MD Anderson, we can. So we'll try that. Thank you for the suggestion.
Okay.
And Frank raised his hand. You got a question, Frank, or something for Sandra and Amir?
Hi. Yes, this is Frank Ramirez. This is my first time I've participated in this group, and I joined late. Unfortunately, I was stuck in traffic, so my apologies. But I've been on active surveillance since being diagnosed, so I was going to join the group, and when there's time, if not today, the next meeting, share where I'm going, because I'm going to go into treatment and not stay on the active surveillance.
Yeah, Frank, I've seen you in active surveillance in the veterans group, right?
Yes, I'm that up until this point.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, not to cut you off, but you did come in late, and we had a couple of people ahead of you that wanted time that were here at first. But yeah, definitely come back, and we'll talk to you. If you We're having the Veterans Speaking Freely group tomorrow night, if you didn't get the reminder.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I didn't mean to jump
right.
in front of the line here.
No, I thought you had a question for Sandra and Amir. So.
Albert, you wanted some time? You're muted.
Yes.
Hi,
Please.
how are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Good, thank you. What can we do for you this evening?
Well, I've been coming to the active surveillance group, and I had my biopsy on the 12th. It was my follow-up biopsy. My initial one was in May of 23. And on the MRI, they discovered a second lesion. There was one on the first MRI in 23, and then of course they did another MRI for this biopsy that I just had. I went to Dr. Frindle at Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, and they discovered with the biopsy disturbing results. I went from 3+3 Gleason 6 to 4+3 in 3 cores. And it was not on one of the regions of the 2 regions of interest that I had. It was on another, I don't know what you would call that, random or pattern biopsy. But it was I'm reading from it now, so it was a prostate left posterior lateral number 7, acinar adenocarcinoma, Gleason score 7, 4+3, grade group 3, involving 24% of submitted tissue. Oh, it was only one of 2 cores, with a 7.1 millimeter size of carcinoma on involved core. And then I was reading on the AnCan site about that study that of people that had been 15 years out from radiation or from RP, and how, you know, the metastasis rate was only 8% for the radiation. Anyway, it also, the other thing that I didn't mention is that it has, or did I? I'm sort of flustered. Pattern 4 constitutes 60% of the carcinoma, and their focal cribriform glands present. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to be treatment, but I haven't sent for my second opinion to Epstein, which I'm going to do. And Dr. Frindle is ordering decipher and PSMA test to make sure there's no spread.
Okay, well, Epstein, I think, is, you know, for your very first stop, because going from 3+3 to 4+3 is a significant change, and you want to confirm that that's real.
Yeah.
Before getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
And we've seen Epstein contradict the Mayo pathologist before. This
Okay.
wouldn't be the first time. So don't get too far ahead until we have a confirmation.
Okay. And then what do you think of doing the PSMA and decipher? I thought those were good.
Well, the decipher's fine. I would wait and see what Dr. Epstein has to say, and if he confirms the 4+3.
Yeah.
If we need to know how much and where it's located, and you know, he's ordering the PSMA because he thinks you're 4+3. If you went back to Frenkel and said, no, I'm 3+4 with this percentage, he may change his mind.
Okay. Okay. Well, then anything else? I think maybe that wraps it up, because like you said, I don't want to put cart before horse, and just see what Epstein says and then move on from there.
Yeah, I think that's really your next step, is just try and get them to take a look at the slides.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific.
And then come back here and tell us what they say, what he says.
Yeah.
And we can help you with pointing to the next step.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate this group.
Okay.
Also, I had a question. I was going to
How-
donate.
Hold on a second. How are you going about getting that Epstein? Have you done that through Mayo, and is everything okay with that?
No, I haven't done it yet. I wanted to talk to you guys first. And I have the email that was linked for Epstein that has been posted in the chat here. And I was going to just contact him first because I'd heard that he would maybe reach out to Mayo, and it might be simpler that way.
Yeah, he can pull them. You can push him, or he can pull them. Is there a preference, guys? Which do you think is better, to have Epstein pull them or for Albert to push them?
From the information we've gotten in here and at the active surveillance group, it seems to go smoother if Epstein pulls them than if their doctor pushes them, but it's a doctor by doctor case. But I've heard more stories of Epstein pulling them being successful on the first try, but that may be the doctor's not paying attention to the instructions on his website, so, or their staff, I should say.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Frank. Dr. Epstein sent me instructions on how to get the slides to him, and he sent me the forms. I completed the forms. I gave them to my urologist, and he forwarded them on to the lab, and it went actually very smoothly. He got them within the week, and then he got back to me directly on the results of his review.
Good. Well, Dr. Frindle and his staff were very open and encouraging of doing a second opinion. They thought that was a good idea, so that was encouraging to me. So I will go ahead and do what you did with reach out to Epstein and follow instructions.
Yeah, that stuff's right on his website.
Okay, terrific. But as I was going to say, I was going to donate, but the link, it said the page didn't exist. Would that be temporary, or does that need to be fixed? I didn't want to mail a check.
I think there's
sorry.
something wrong. We've not had that complaint, so I think it might be at your end, Albert.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Let me look right now as we're speaking. But
Okay.
if you hit the donate button, it should go straight through. Bill, have you done it yet? I know Bill's on it already.
Yeah, it took me right to where I should sign up. So
Okay.
Right.
I'll figure it out from this end.
Yeah, just go to the donate button and click on it, and it should take you right through. If not, you want to reach out to Bill Franklin, not to me, and I'll put his email, stevefranklin@ancan.org. And that's a perfect segue for either Stuart or Bill to step up.
well, I mean, I'll be happy to step up. Unless Stuart, you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, you want to take it? Or?
If you guys are on our mailing list, you've seen our pleas for donations, and some people, I'm not going to call anybody out, but some people in this meeting have donated generously, and for that we are very, very grateful. But donating to AnCan lets us continue to do what we're doing for you guys, and as Rick likes to say, we think it's priceless, and we hope you do too. We don't want MasterCard coming after us. Rick's throwing that around too much. but yeah. So it's been our practice for the last several years that just at the end of the year, like you get letters from everybody. So we're competing with them. It's been our practice to have the one fundraising event, and this is it this year. You'll probably get another letter or two and a thank you one after the new year. But if you can find it in your pocket or in your hearts to give to AnCan, then we'll continue to do what we do for you guys here and for the 30 other groups that we hold each month. So
yeah, I'm just putting the link in the chat window, just so that there's no confusion. If you click on that, it should open. But you know, I guess I just want to say, even in this meeting tonight, what you get from us is priceless. You can't put a price on it. Ask Jerry in Maui. I mean, what he's learned from this meeting tonight, he could never have found that out about OHSU if he wasn't in a group of peers like this. And when we say it's priceless every meeting. For those of you who come in regularly, you hear stuff like what we told Jerry every meeting. And that's why we say it's priceless. For Sandra and Amir to get access to Dr. John Antonucci, who himself is a patient, who himself has cardiac issues, who has done a lot of study. He's not a cardiologist, he's a pain psychiatrist, but he's done the research. Where do you find that? Where do you find a peer who understands prostate cancer and who can talk to you peer to peer about that impact and how to go about it and what to expect? It's all so priceless. And that's why we say it. Now, I did find in my LinkedIn from the last week that MasterCard had been to visit my site. So I'm not sure why, but maybe they heard me say priceless once too often, but we are. And that's how other people describe us. We had somebody come to us. What morning was it? One morning this week, and came back to us and told us we were priceless. And we took the quote and we put it straight into we didn't make that up. So that's why we say it.
Okay.
And thank you truly to everybody who has donated on the site. We so appreciate it. We so appreciate it. These words are not intended for you, as you figured out.
Carl or Greg, was there any other questions for this evening?
Yes, please. Just a second.
Sure.
Am I okay? I know this is Rick will go crazy when I ask this question, but you know, I'm due to go in to get treatment in January, and I'm still, you know, not wanting to do it, of course, but that's the way it is. But my PSA, I just got my PSA done, and it dropped from 7.1 to 6.4, and I'm thinking, well, that's good news, but I guess that would not change how Rick would recommend me proceeding, I guess is what I'm. I know that's a terrible question to ask someone, but yeah, that's
well,
my
look,
question.
we're not going to recommend that you proceed or you don't proceed, because we're not docs and we can't do that, right? What I'm going to say is, if you're that concerned, and I understand why, repeat the PSMA and see if the lesion has shrunk. My guess is, not a medical opinion, my guess is it hasn't shrunk at all. There are other factors going on as to why it may go up and down. If the lesion has shrunk, if the lesion has pulled away from the edge, then yes, you might want to consider it. But if the lesion hasn't pulled away from the edge, then we're still in the same situation.
Yeah, I tried to get into Carol, but they said he's not taking any more patients.
I can't help.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You
Just
know,
wanted to throw it up the flagpole.
I mean, if you could go see one of the other docs there. Go see Cooperberg and see what he tells you. He's taking patients.
Cooperberg?
Cooperberg. COOPERBERG.
Okay. All right, buddy. Thanks.
But,
just
you
wanted
know, I don't think you're going to hear anything else. You can keep doctor shopping, but the issue for you is that lesion is pushing right up against the edge of the prostate.
Right.
And we can't, and sooner or later it's going to go through. And when it goes through, it's going to mean a hell of a lot more treatment than what you're dealing with right now. Now, do we have a crystal ball to know when it'll go through? No. Could it Might it never go through? It might never go through. But when you talk to a doc like Dr. Carroll, why we suggest him, he's seen it 1,000 times or more. He has that experience to make a decision.
Okay.
But you know, you can vacillate or not vacillate, but the chances are sooner or later. Now, if you really want to know where it is, you got to go through another MRI, probably not a PSMA, but you got to go through another MRI and get another MRI before you commit to the treatment and see, is it still there or has it shrunk? And you can talk to your, who is it? Dr. Son you're seeing? I'm not sure.
Chung, Benjamin Chung.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about your radiation oncologist.
Oh, no, Boyansky,
right. You know, talk to the guy who's going to treat you and say, look, my PSA just went down. Do you think it's worth doing another MRI just to see if the lesion shrunk? But the question is, why would the lesion shrink? You haven't done any treatment.
No. And PSAs go up and down anyway. I understand that.
And PSAs go up and down. And yes, some people through their diet, through other things, we see these lesions shrink, but we don't see it that often, Greg. And usually it's people with a little bit of 3+3.
Got it. All right, buddy. Thank you.
Okay.
I won't take any more time.
That's okay. You're always welcome to the time, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? And
yeah, guys.
Well,
this
Yep.
this is Carl. This is Carl.
Carl,
Yeah.
just hold on 1 second. I grabbed that one quick, but maybe the other moderators want to say something to Greg about that. Or somebody else in the group wants to say something to Greg about. Anybody else have comments on that?
well, Greg, you know, part of this really comes down to what makes you comfortable when you put your head on the pillow at night. Because, you know, at the end of the day, nobody is going to be able to tell you with absolute certainty what's right for you. You know, you've got to get comfortable with it. What I will tell you is that one of the doctors, when I was searching around for what I was going to do, his comment was, take your time, make your decision, but when you make your decision, just stop thinking about it and do it.
Yeah.
Because you can just drive yourself absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Greg, I guess from my viewpoint, it's kind of like, not me right now, I get PSA every 6 months, which my doctor said I don't need it every 6 months. I could take it every year now at this point, but I just do it for myself, right? And mine's undetectable, but I always got a particular type of test, which was called the Roche test, which always tells you that your PSA is less than 0.0. And at the beginning of the year, I had to switch providers because my old one stopped taking my health insurance. And the new provider, when they ordered the PSA test, did the ultrasensitive. And then it was like, oh, your PSA is 0.0. It was like 0.04. And I was like, well, there's never been a number there for the last 5 years, right? And I was like, 0.04 is incredibly small, right? And then the next one was 0.03. And it's like, it's just normal fluctuations. And in your case, it could very well just be normal fluctuations. That's not that big a change.
Yeah.
It was something significant, you know. If it had halved, then definitely you'd be running back to your doctor saying, hey, look at this. So, but
Right. All right.
So I don't ever look at ultrasensitive because to me they're minuscule and I don't care until it's on the other side of the decimal. And you know, hopefully it never is. So think of the scale, right? That's what you got to think of.
Right.
Anybody else have comments for Greg? David? Okay,
Thank you,
Carl.
Yeah, hi. I don't think I asked these questions last time I was on, but hopefully they'll be real quick answers or nobody will have an answer. And the first question is, has anybody in this group had the, they did radiation, but they had to implant the fiducials first and install the barrier first. Has anybody had that done under local anesthesia only?
Yeah, I have. I had it done exactly that way in June and July. Yeah.
How painful was it?
During the procedure itself, it was painful. It was like a dental procedure with like if you know how when you have a dental procedure and they put lidocaine in your jaw and you don't feel a thing? Well,
Yeah.
it's like that. They definitely injected painkiller first, but I definitely felt it. And the thing is, though, it hurts while they're doing it. It's like momentary stabs of pain, but it doesn't linger. And afterward, um, eh, I felt good enough that I actually walked from the hospital several blocks to a bus stop, got on a public bus, and took it 2 miles to my motel room. And then the next day, I did an 8-mile hike. So there wasn't much of a lingering effect, but it did hurt during the procedure itself.
Yeah, I'm really pain averse, so I'm trying to find somebody.
Who isn't?
Yeah, I know.
Carl,
I'm trying to find some. Yes, go ahead.
Carl, I'm going to one up David. I had the fiduciaries installed back in the day. I think it was 2007 or January of 2008. And by Dr. Shinohara at UCSF. And I remember going in and I remember lying on the table and him giving me a shot of painkiller or whatever it was, whatever that local stuff is they put in. And that stung a little bit. And then I hear him coming in and I hear him doing stuff. It wasn't really what. And then he says, okay, you're good to go. I said, are you done? He said, yeah. I said, I didn't even feel a thing. And I drove home. So
and that
for me,
and that was from fiducials and barrier gel.
Not from the barrier gel, because my doc wouldn't use it then and he won't use it now. He doesn't like it. But it was from the fiducials.
Mine was from both the fiducials and the I had Barrigel or rectal spacer. I really can't tell you which of those two things caused the significant pain, but what did help, because I can, we're all a little stressed when we know something's going to hurt, is they did give me a Valium ahead of time, and that kind of mellowed me out. I was still awake. I still felt it, but it sort of made it like not as much of a big deal. And because they gave me the Valium, they actually didn't want me to take a bus back to the motel. I wasn't really supposed to do that, but I didn't have any other way back. I was there by myself. So I didn't have anybody to drive me. And as a result, what they did was they just said, okay, well, next after this, we're going to do some scans and we'll have a little bit of a delay. And by the time we get all that done, it'll be like 4 hours and the Valium will wear off and then you can take the bus. So have them give you a Valium and you'll mellow out and it'll go fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about getting back. It would not be far for me to take an Uber. That's not a big deal. But it's during the procedure that I am always, whether it be a dental procedure or whatever, I am just very, very sensitive to pain. And I'm afraid I'm going to move around. He jabs me. I'm going to move around, everything like that. One other quick question, and that is, have any of you? I've seen a study showing a correlation. I don't know all the details. I'll have to go back and review it. But I've seen a study showing a correlation between men who have had hernia mesh repair, hernia surgery, and prostate cancer. And have any of you guys had mesh inguinal hernia surgery and then later, years later, gotten the prostate cancer? Nope. Okay.
No, I had it in the opposite order. I had the prostate cancer, and years later, the hernia. So.
Oh, okay. Well, if you ever hear of such a person that's gone through that, let me know. Okay.
Yeah, but what difference does it make to you?
Well, I'd just like to know, because I got my germline results back, and I have no genetic connection to prostate cancer, and so that eliminates that being the cause of it. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, but Carl, it doesn't matter. You've got it now. Look, most of us.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
Most of us who are in this room who have prostate cancer, we got no idea how we got it. There's a million and one. I mean, in my case, it may be I have a very high calcium level. There's correlations between high calcium levels and prostate cancer. There's all kinds of correlations. There's all kinds of theories. We don't know how to prevent prostate cancer right now. We don't know.
Right.
So it's not for us particularly fruitful. And would we send somebody to you if they had an inguinal hernia and mesh, and then subsequently no, we wouldn't, because we don't want to disturb them. So I don't think we're going to come through for you on that one, bud.
Okay. I just want to know if you talk to a lot of people, and I'm wondering if anybody else has had that same question.
I have never heard that question in the 10 years I've been coming to these groups. As a matter of fact, we don't get a lot of information from guys on their past medical procedures unless it was something that happened recently to their prostate cancer diagnosis, right?
Right.
Or in Amir's case, that he has a heart condition during his prostate cancer, or Frank has lung cancer, right? But nobody's ever said, 5 years ago I had a hernia surgery, and then this year I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. That's just not a connection anybody's made.
Well, I Googled it, and it came up with one study. And I don't know, I don't recall the details, okay? But I mean, it seemed to be a legitimate study, and they did find a correlation. So that was...
Okay, so here's what we can tell you. Yes, we've had people, I can't tell you who. And the reason we know is because if you have mesh, you're not a good candidate for surgery. They don't like to operate. They don't like to do surgery on people who have mesh, because it can make it a lot more tricky. And occasionally it comes up, and somebody will say, "Well, I had a hernia." We've never talked about it as being causal, but we do say, "Well, if you had that, you might need to talk to your urologist and check if you're even a candidate for surgery." That I can tell you we've discussed. But not as a causal relationship. Albert, what did you want to say? You better
I wanted to say, I have an inguinal hernia, and I've been going to Dr. Pearson at Mayo, and I asked him this question. I've been there a couple of years because it's gotten a little bit bigger, and I'm thinking about getting the mesh. And my concern was putting plastic in my body could lead to cancer. He said he had not heard of any studies that showed that. And another thing I wanted to say to Carl is kind of like what Rick was saying, a lot of things can be correlated without being causation. So,
Correct.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just 2 cents.
I hate to break it to everybody.
What's
I
that?
said I hate to break it to y'all, but we all have plastic in our body already.
Well, I know lots of nanoplastic.
Every single person on the planet has plastic in their body. It's too late, guys.
Yeah.
But
We've read those studies.
I'm still uneasy about doing the hernia surgery, not specifically for prostate cancer, but just any kind of cancer. So,
Albert and Carl, there have been studies that, as Rick said, that getting the mesh can cause your PSA to rise, and because it may cause inflammation in that area, and it complicates prostate cancer surgery. So
right.
But a causation between the mesh and prostate cancer, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, while I'm trying to avoid surgery, and I think I can avoid surgery, I was just curious now that you mentioned that if I needed to get the prostate taken out, would the transurethral method be the way they would avoid the mesh? Does anybody know?
I don't know that.
Okay.
But that sounds worse than that sounds worse than the other methods.
Okay. Hey, thanks guys for everything. We'll see you next time.
All right. Are we ready to wrap up, Stuart?
Yeah, I think we're pretty well done. Sandra, best of luck for Amir on his surgery tomorrow.
Yes, please keep us up to date.
Yes.
And
He'll
with
fly
that,
through it.
with that, I think we're good. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everyone. And we will see you in January.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Here.
Thank you.
All right.